Hello everybody and welcome to another Warframe showcase, and today we will be showing off a glass gladiator, Gara. First of all, she can I usually should have I should have started doing this for you guys. Let's go through a passive first. Has a chance to create a radial blind that lasts 10 seconds when Gara class an ability. It used to be depending on the lighting of the area, but just like Mirage's Eclipse, they had to do some tweaking for that. A second, Shattered Lash. Lashes out with a stream of shattered glass, a hole for an arcing strike. Stats are boosted by equipped melee weapons. I still find it very convenient, so I was game with this. Splinter Storm. Gara's armor splinters into a maelstrom of shattered glass. Allies can contact the cloud. Allies who come in contact with the cloud are fortified against damage. It does do damage if applied to enemies and does apply its DR to defense targets. It's very, very good. This one is the one ability I would probably subsume. Is Spectral Rage, trapping enemies in a carousel of mirrors. As enemies attack, the mirrors break, dealing damage, and eventually collapsing the entire carousel, dealing even more damage. I feel like there should have been a multiplier depending upon how many mirrors they've broken or the enemies within. It really should have had that. And her fourth, Mass Vitrify, creating an expanding ring of molten glass that slows and crystallizes enemies who enter. This small little detail, health and shields of crystallized enemies, strengthens Mass Vitrify. Man, when they made that tweak back in the day, I didn't think it was good, but this actually gives this infinite scaling, which is helpful, especially when you're fighting like things in like level 200. The more scaling, the better, but notice only one of her abilities actually has that. But I should get back down to it. Gara is she's relatively squishy without her Splinter Storm and does need a great deal of armor and health to make up for that. She's not very defensive. Sorry, she's not very offensive. She's actually very, very defensive. She has a combination of defense, crowd control, and a little bit of buff, and specifically a defensive buff on that. We're going to try it out against level 100 star chart enemies. Hopefully we can take out the heart of 20 of them without too much trouble. I do sometimes run across a problem where the enemy is actually so strong, and because they're heavy gunners, their damage pools so quickly. I just get down extremely fast when it happens. But as you see, we use Shattered Lash and casting the ability blinded them. So they're all over the floor, they're ragdoll. We also get the unawareness bonus because they are blind. But look at that, they're already half health and I haven't really done much. These are level 100 star chart enemies. I know a lot of you see me do Steel Path and think Steel Path is like some type of like new end game, because usually people is like, oh, it's level 100 swordies, nothing much. Steel Path feels in some ways an end game, in other ways I feel like it's almost like Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest. Everything just does it's just like pure difficulty. Everything just does a whole lot more damage and takes a whole lot less damage. You are rewarded fairly for it though. But if you always want to just mow up the game, trust me, Steel Path, best thing ever. And if you ever felt like it was just too easy, trust me, that'll kick you in your pants. and you can feel a lot better. Finally, the game has depth, strategy. I actually have to chain together abilities from multiple different facets of my loadout. I know, and yes, I know, it is fun to be humbled extremely quickly by a level 250 heavy gunner coming out of nowhere. It really is, because the rewards are boosted, and actually feeling like the game isn't just, you know, water. Because let's be honest, everybody sees what an Inkunox or an Ember rolls in and everything's just dead. God help you if there's a Saren. Trust me, Steel Path helps all of that. Everything just takes a lot more time to kill. It does make some weapons feel weird. You know, when you're just like standing in their face with a whole bunch of DR and damage negation and straight up damage invulnerability and you're just shooting them to pieces. Like, it's the entire clip for a single enemy, and when you see that, you just know, I don't have enough status. But as you can see from the abilities, still stacking Splinter Storm with Mass Vitrify is always a good idea. No matter what level you play, the damage is just too real. But on lower levels, the AoE from actually breaking the Mass Vitrify is what's going to help you farm very effectively. But in higher missions, the only priority you should have is keeping your DR up and stacking it with Mass Vitrify. Hopefully you have the energy for that, but I'm not gonna... I think Gara is also the last frame they actually brought out 3 entire weapons for. Not just like 1 or 2, but like 3 entire weapons. I believe so. I don't think there's any other that has done since then. And yes, I will actually, this is exactly why I brought it up, I will be featuring all of her weapons in future Warframe videos, probably coming in the days to come. I know I usually cover very cheaper build, not a lot of Exilis slots. Some have a good amount of Forma. I try not to go too min-maxy, to go for broke, because a lot of people can't afford that, and yes, I have been playing this game free for years. And yes, I have spent quite a amount of platinum, around, I think, less than about 10,000 platinum I've spent on this account. And it's mostly, most of the money got spent on cosmetics, but that's not what was bought first. The capability was bought first. But Mashing rank 30 really does ease the burden, because when I saw the loadout slots, I almost cried. When I saw the Riven slots, I almost dropped to my knees. I'm like, I actually calculated it's around 900 platinum. That's like 900 platinum in slots alone. So that's not bad, and not needing to re-level to actually see the damage of my weapons. I could just re-level, carry it out, it doesn't matter. It still affects the Warframes, however, so you should be careful about that. Like, your powers will be limited in the same way as... And I know you guys are saying that it's not a cheap build because of arcanes. The arcanes, think of them as an additive effect. They're usually my afterthought after I already put the mods in. They're mostly just to help support it. But you can mod whichever way you want to mod. Keep in mind, my videos for modding and showcasing Warframes and weapons are not for you to be like, this is the be-all end-all. This is the best way to use this weapon. This is the best way to mod this weapon or this frame. This is not what this is. This is basically more of a loose guideline, if anything. Because a lot of people still don't understand the fact that the entire game is percentage based, and there's very few mods that actually are straight up additives. For example, there's no way why are you boosting status on a weapon that has less than 10 status chance, but yet has a great 15 or 16% critical chance? Why aren't you focusing on that? Exactly. But I know there are a few weapons that go below that. Some of them are just like 10 and 5, and if that's the case, whichever one is bigger is what you should lean towards. If it's very balanced, I suggest a hybrid build if you can pull it off. Keep in mind, hybrids aren't the best thing. It's like, if you have a hybrid primary weapon, it's good to have a status secondary and a crit melee, you know what I mean, just to mix it up. Keep in mind, while doing all of this, you have to make sure your basic physical damage type matches the enemies you're fighting. I usually don't do that, but that's usually if I'm not going against like something specifically hard, like a boss fight or a steel path mission when I'm struggling against. For all intents and purposes, you could mod how you please, and it just so happens that there are 3 physical damage types and there are 3 mod slots, like 3 mod loadouts. So if an enemy type was weak to corrosive, you could just flop. Magnetic, you could just flop again. And then there's always that one straight up fire build for when you deal with the infesteds. But I do feel like it's more balanced, because I do come from the days where corrosive was broken. Corrosive was so broken that it broke itself. It was just so broken that it breaks itself. Because a lot of people didn't understand quite the problem. But I guess I'll ramble about that in the next video. Because there's not much to say about just how good she is. She was the best. She was like the best thing of Plains of Island when it first came out. A new defensive frame to put up with Frost. In fact, I think that's the reason why they nerf her ult too. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you want to talk Warframe or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay notified of our future Warframe content. I'll see you guys next time.